Alexander Haig, a close friend of D'Estaing, declined to brief the press. I had studied Mitterrand's career for years, and thus it fell to me to brief the press as an anonymous senior White House official. The theme used in the briefing: Mitterrand would be a canny manager of his cabinet, and there was no need for negative reactions. At the 7th G7 Economic Summit Conference, July 20th and 21st, 1981, at Chateau Montebello in Quebec, Mitterrand and Reagan met for the first time. Reagan was confident that he and the new French president would get along well. He was not mistaken. After the formal meetings, Mitterrand met with Reagan very privately. Accompanying Mitterrand was Jacques Attali, his brilliant advisor whom he treated like a son, and I accompanied Reagan. Mitterrand revealed that France had a private sector company, Thomson CSF, working on contracts in Moscow, and through it French intelligence had achieved a very deep penetration of the KGB. It had in place a key Soviet source who was voluntarily providing astonishing national security information about Soviet technology acquisition from the West, including massive theft of technological secrets. Thus was revealed the famous Line X KGB espionage network by one of the most precious and extraordinary moles the West ever had. The Farewell case was born. Management of the matter in Washington was by Reagan's close friend and mine, William J. Casey, CIA chief. On my National Security Council staff, an extraordinary fellow, Dr. Gus W. Weiss, whom I had first met in 1968 and then recruited for the White House International Economic Policy Staff in 1971 in the Nixon administration, and again in 1981 at the outset of the Reagan administration for the NSC, was given the assignment to handle and exploit this valuable intelligence resource from the White House end. The agent in place performed heroically, but committed actions that compromised his identity. The highly effective and secret cooperation served to reinforce French-U.S. relations and build mutual confidence. The listener to this wonderful book by Sergei Kostin and Eric Raynaud is in for a treat, an introduction to what President Reagan described as the most significant spy story of the last century. Catherine Covin-Higgins, interpreter for the Thomson chief at the time, has performed a great service in translating the volume, expanded and updated with newly available information, including a Weiss memo published by the CIA, the Farewell Dossier, Duping the Soviets. And expertly duped they were, principally by sophisticated economic warfare expertly waged. But to reveal more here would affect the listener's exciting voyage into the murky world of espionage and counter-espionage. Just as Reagan had hoped and planned, one side actually won. Introduction. Spring 1981. The Reagan administration, still shaken by the assassination attempt on the new president by John Hinckley 2 months earlier, was in shock again. A socialist, François Mitterrand, was elected president of a major European power with nuclear weapons. The new French government included 4 communist ministers, allies of the Socialist Party. Even though France was not officially part of the NATO military organization, the role it played in the free world's defense structure could not be discounted. The rest of the West was getting so worried that United States Vice President George H.W. Bush paid a visit to the Élysée Palace to express those anxieties in person. International reservations toward France remained on the agenda during the G7 summit held in Ottawa in July 1981. At the summit, despite the reluctance he was sensing, President Mitterrand appeared very confident. He knew perfectly well that this was not militant communism making a spectacular breakthrough within the Western Bloc. To the contrary, the West was now enjoying a major advance into Soviet front lines. For the past few months, France had had a mole, codename Farewell, operating at the heart of one of the most sensitive divisions of the KGB. During a face-to-face meeting, Mitterrand shared this secret with Ronald Reagan and revealed to him the scope of global Soviet industrial pillage. At the time, the American president did not fully understand the impact of the dossier, but he was a fast learner. Soon after, he would refer to it as the greatest spy story